In a world covered by endless night, in a place where fear and despair thrive, in a time when all hope seems lost, two individuals arise to stand firm, resist the darkness, and light the beacons of hope to humanity. To the free people of the future, the courage of these two will mark them as heroes. To everyone else, they will simply be known as Nobodies.
Everyone, welcome to Nobodies, a show that nobody's going to watch about us talking about nothing. Today, we're going to do a little retrospective, I guess, about ISIS, up to, how this whole thing started a few years ago, where it is right now, and our thoughts about what, if anything, we should do looking at the future. So, if you want to give the rundown about, what happened in March 2011.
Okay. If you've been living under a rock in the past year or so, you've never heard of ISIS. So for you people, we're going to give a little history. Or maybe you're just interested and you want to know more. So in 2011, March, there was some protesting in Syria. Assad was a bad guy. I think everybody knows that. Assad was kind of a bad guy. And so there are these protesters that were protesting, democracy. Well, not protesting democracy.
Protesting for democracy.
For democracy. Yeah. Thank you. This was during the whole Arab Spring thing. A lot of these Arab nations were overthrowing oppressive governments with a lot of backing by the United States, but we'll get into that later. So anyway, Syria, March 2011, security forces shoot dead protesters. Shoot protesters dead. Did they do that backwards? Anyway, they shot protesters, which as we know is kind of a bad thing. We don't like to do that. President Assad announces, I'm not even going to say that, measures. Which is measures? Yeah. Releasing dozens of political prisoners, dismissing government, lifting 48-year-old state of emergency. However, then in May, army tanks enter Daraa. I think I'm butchering that, but he sent in the tanks. So, and it just kind of escalated from there. So going back, it was about March 2011 is when the Syrian crisis really started, when the protesters were shot. And it escalated from there. I mean, it's turned into a civil war, which has since killed a lot of people, devastated a lot of cities. I think actually in the comments section we should have a link. You people should see these pictures, the before and after. Have you seen those? It's like these beautiful ancient buildings, because it's a very old country.
Oh, for the war. Yes.
Yeah, and I mean it's just demolished. Entire cities gone. So this war has been really bad, and that kind of ties into why there's a lot of refugees heading to Europe, which we're going to talk about later. Right now our focus is on ISIS, which came out of this conflict. So going from there, keeping that in mind, the civil war, we'll go to ISIS. Did I lose? I think I lost that tab.
So anyway, one of the factions on the rebel side fighting Assad in Syria
was Al-Qaeda.
Yes, was Al-Qaeda. And from an offshoot of that came ISIS. ISIS is an offshoot of Al-Qaeda. It's pretty much the people even Al-Qaeda thought were too crazy for them. So, which says a lot.
That says a lot.
The whole rebellion thing that's going on against Assad isn't exactly united. You have many different factions fighting for different reasons against Assad. One of those was Al-Qaeda, then ISIS comes out of that. And when before ISIS got big, of course, things came up in the news about Assad using chemical weapons against the rebels. And, that was 2013?
Yeah, 2013.
2013.
Yeah, that's with President Obama and his red line.
Yeah.
And I quote, "I didn't set a red line, the world set a red line."
Yeah, you can just YouTube the video clips, and he clearly sets his own red line that, can't use chemical weapons against, in war. So he was heavily implying that we take some sort of action against Assad, and thank God we didn't, because I think we would be where we're at right now a hell of a lot faster. Because, again, people who watch this, you guys haven't been living under a rock, you know how this story ends up, right? ISIS, which has now become a global threat right now, spring up because of this civil war. If we would have gotten rid of Assad, then the vacuum that was in Iraq would have been in Syria, and ISIS would have spread there as well. But since we didn't get involved and Assad was pushing back, ISIS didn't get anywhere, so then they decided to go to Iraq instead because we created a wonderful little vacuum there.
Power vacuum. So, yeah, and I mean, like, there was this war going on, like you said, and then they invaded Iraq. That's where they got a lot of their hardware from. If you look on the videos and pictures, you see a lot of them have M16s, they have Humvees, stuff like that. There's an article from Reuters, which you guys should read. One of my favorites, it's called Dude, Where's My Humvee? Because what they did was they went back into Iraq, and the Iraqi army just caved. They didn't even fight. They just ran and left behind all the weapons, all the equipment, and took it back into Syria and made the Syria war even worse. And a lot of them are still in Iraq fighting. They're fighting the Kurds, fighting the Iraqi army, which doesn't hold their ground very well. But, I mean, you got to give them credit. They're actually fighting. It's all messed up right now. But anyway, just keep that in mind that a lot of the stuff that they're using is U.S. material, U.S. government, taxpayer.
That we paid for
weapons.
Supplies and training those people who ran.
Mm-hmm.
And also for, apparently, we just saw this a few months ago, there was an airdrop we were sending to the Kurds that apparently got diverted, and ISIS ended up picking that up. So, yeah, they're using a lot of our weapons because of various reasons of us getting inside the Middle East one way or the other, and things getting diverted, and they're stealing our stuff. And now ISIS has become a pretty credible threat nowadays.
Very big problem. Yeah, I mean, Paris, and even now, just a week or two ago, San Bernardino.
Yeah.
You know,
we live in California, by the way, so...
Yeah, we're in California, so, yeah, we're a little closer than most of the people. I don't know, I wouldn't say it affects us more. I mean, we're still pretty far away, but I guess as a Californian, you feel more for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just tragic, you know, and I don't know, in my opinion, the United States had a big role in Syria. I mean, going back to your red line, the State Department, specifically Hillary Clinton, they wanted Assad gone. I don't know if you guys remember Hillary saying, like, about Gaddafi, you know, he died. We came and we saw he died, something like that. They wanted these guys gone. They wanted Gaddafi gone. Egypt, I think it was Morsi. Don't quote me on that, but there was some guy they wanted out of Egypt. And then Assad. Assad was on that list. They wanted him gone. So the United States, your government, our government, funded moderate rebels. Moderate rebels. And this is just my theory, but it does seem awfully strange that right after Obama gives his red line speech, and America said no. I don't know if you guys remember that. I remember that.
I remember that, yeah.
Everybody said
Everybody.
No. We're not going to invade another Middle Eastern nation. This is ridiculous.
What I really loved about that, I know it's a little tangential, was how not bipartisan this was at all. Like, I mean, you have your hawkish Republicans there, but the rest of them were saying no. Even the rest of the Republicans were saying, no, enough is enough. We're not doing this again.
Everybody
Everyone said it.
No. Text message. Anyway, and yeah, like I said, it was universal. And then, strangely enough, and this could just be a coincidence, but suddenly there are these ISIS guys. Right afterwards, we start hearing about these ISIS guys and these terrorists who are so crazy that Al Qaeda kicked them out, you know. And you got to ask the question, you know, where did they get that equipment from? You know, where did they come about? Like, they get all this training, and then you know, we hear on the news and we hear from our own government, well, we're training moderate rebels. Well, how did you know they were moderate? What screening process did you do? I mean, and honestly, we have to ask this question because this has happened before with the Taliban. Okay?
Yeah, don't forget that when the Russians were fighting in Afghanistan, we were helping Osama bin Laden. We've done this before. This
has happened before. I have a newspaper article, I think I've mentioned it on the show before, where it calls Osama bin Laden a freedom fighter. Is he a freedom fighter? No, he's a terrorist. So, I mean, I don't think they were being careful enough. This is just my opinion. I think the State Department just armed anybody and everybody who wanted to fight Assad, and they didn't care whether or not they were actually terrorists.
I won't go flat out and say that, but it's certainly plausible. I mean, I'd want more evidence for something that big, but it definitely, again, we've done this before. It's certainly plausible. I don't think it's like a conspiracy, conspiracy theory or anything.
Not anymore, it's not.
Yeah. Because we've definitely fudged up in the past about, arming people before and training people before. And it's not just with someone online. This goes back further to other things, but we're not going to get into that. But the point is, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So the question remains, every time we stick our nose into the Middle East, we always get burned.
Badly. Well, I mean, not just us. I mean, think about the people who live there.
Yeah.
My home didn't get bombed. My home's not getting burned. But theirs is. And that, honest to God, that sickens me. That my money, my taxpayer money, I pay taxes, is bombing some wedding or a church or somebody's house in the Middle East. And are they terrorists? I don't know. But I don't support that. I mean, you should know. You should know.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh my goodness. Don't get me started.
I get into arguments with conservatives over this all the time, and the best thing I could say to try to compel people is try to imagine a situation where we're in their shoes. Let's say, for example, that Chinese terrorists, a terrorist fighting China, had insurgents here in America. Would we be okay with China attacking us because they're going after the terrorists?
Exactly.
We wouldn't stand by it. The only difference between us and them over there in the Middle East is the fact that they can't stand up to us because, we've got the biggest stick in the world. We've got a big stick. You get my point. But try to put yourself in their shoes. Like, what we're doing over there isn't right. We wouldn't accept that if that happened here.
And I think, the point you brilliantly brought up earlier was if we hadn't invaded Iraq and destabilized the region, there would have still been a very competent army that would have been able to fight the Islamic State. And honestly, I don't think the Islamic State would have even bothered going into Iraq.
No, it wouldn't have. And it would have been cornered, and there's no way it could have gained much power it has now. Look, Saddam Hussein was an evil person. Not going to defend the guy at all. But if he was still alive, we wouldn't have the problems we're having right now. Bottom line is because
he kept them in line.
Yeah, he kept them in line. He still had order in his country. Was he a jerk? Absolutely. I'm not going to shed a tear for the fact that he's dead, but us meddling in there has destabilized the region, and now ISIS has a perfect means to exploit a resource. I mean, it's making money off of the oil fields in Iraq. I mean, this is scary stuff. They've got the weapons that we've left over there. They've got the supplies. They've got money. They've got oil.
Yeah.
If we just butted out, this wouldn't happen. And I'm not trying to, anyone who wants to paint me as, I hate George Bush or whatever. That's not the problem. That's besides the point. The point is that we need to learn from past mistakes. That us butting into other people's affairs when it does not directly affect us hurts not just ourselves, but other people as well.
It hurts everybody. I mean, okay, look at Jordan. Look at Jordan. Jordan is in that area. Do they have a problem with the Islamic State? Kind of. Is the Islamic State invading Jordan? No. Did we invade Jordan? No. Did we destabilize that region? No. And they're doing okay. They're actually taking in refugees. Versus Iraq. People are leaving Iraq. So it's you can see it very clearly, when you go in and you try to establish democracy or whatever, invading other nations, period, is bad. I don't care what they do over there, we should not be bombing other countries. So, yeah, because ISIS. That's why. Because ISIS.
Right. And now I guess this is the point where I kind of backpedal on what I just said, because now I want to discuss, well, what do we do from here? And honestly, we made an SS video before, and I don't exactly recall what I said before, but I'm pretty sure it was along the lines of, I don't have a flipping clue. And my opinion has mostly not changed to the fact that I have the same conclusion. I still have a flipping clue, but again, I'm kind of just being a hypocrite right now. But if we were to go back to Iraq tomorrow, honestly, I wouldn't be as angsty as I would beforehand, because things have gotten out of hand. I mean, what happened to Paris, completely maybe do a 180 and reevaluate, okay, what exactly do I want to have my position to be on? Because people are suffering, getting killed in Iraq right now. The Kurds are suffering. This is all bad stuff that we are responsible for. But I guess in the back of my mind, I always figured, okay, well, us trying to fix problems is usually what creates more problems. So how about, and my original position for the refugees was, how about we just take the refugees here, because they're suffering because of the mess we created, so how about we accommodate them? But then things got messy with, now we see terrorist cells infiltrating as refugees, and now Paris got attacked, and now we've got something that's happened in California, and I'm like, Jesus, what the hell do we do now?
Right.
Which is why, like, you know, again, I'm not saying we should go back to Iraq, but if we did, maybe I've got a whole Moby Dick thing going on right here where I'm trying to go after ISIS, which is the whale for me, but I just don't know. I really don't know anymore.
Okay, I mean, and you know, if you ask me what should we do, it is tricky because, I mean, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, we did create the problem. We funded moderate rebels who turned out to not be so moderate. We invaded Iraq, destabilized the region. You know, and I feel bad. I wouldn't go as far as to say I feel responsible, but I do think that we should fix the problem. Yeah. However, like you pointed out, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're going to bomb ISIS? Like, the civilians are going to die, which is going to piss people off. And, I mean, does bombing a country solve a problem? I mean, I don't believe that. I don't believe that for a second. I believe in free trade and free markets and peace. I think that solves problems.
But to play devil's advocate on that point, that requires two parties to cooperate.
Exactly.
Even if we were being peaceful, that doesn't imply that they would be.
Exactly. And the thing is, ISIS is there. They're not interested in capitalism.
Yeah.
They're not interested in free trade and peace on the world, peace on earth, whatever. They don't care. They're going to chop your head off. So, I don't know, man. I don't know, because I don't support going over there and bombing it. But if we don't get rid of them, they're going to. They said they're going to, and they've already have attacked us. So it's one of those. It's a catch-22. Like, we could go there.
Damned if we do, damned if we don't.
Exactly. We could go there and bomb them and make it worse, or we could not bomb them and then have them come here and bomb us. Yeah. So it's like, you know, we were talking about earlier. I wish there was some kind of satellite with laser beams that would just zap every Islamic State guy and have no civilian casualties. I would totally support that, but it doesn't exist. The only thing we have is cluster bombs and laser-guided weapons, which they try to tell us are super, super accurate, but let's face it, mistakes happen, civilians die, and it just escalates the problem very badly. And then, actually, we were also talking about this earlier. Let's just say we did bomb ISIS. Let's say we flattened Raqqa, which is their capital. Let's say we flattened it completely. They're going to go somewhere else. They might move their army somewhere else, or maybe they'll all scatter up into groups of, I don't know, 5 or 6 and go throughout the world and spread terror. Who knows? Yeah. We don't know. We could level it tomorrow. What are they going to do? We don't know. We could make it even worse than it is now. So,
and even assuming that we could win and wipe ISIS off the map, there's still a power vacuum in Iraq, and there's still a culture of terrorism brewing within the Middle East. Like, this stuff doesn't just go away. You know, at first it was Al-Qaeda, and then, yay, we beat Al-Qaeda, even though they're still kind of around, but they're not much of a problem anymore. Then ISIS pops up, and who's to say, well, once we defeat ISIS, then another thing pops up. And then, do we just keep on fighting war after war after war after war?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just, it's perpetual. It's like the whack-a-mole.
Yeah.
You fund the Taliban, then it's Al-Qaeda, now it's ISIS. Who's next? Who's next?
And then, but again, like, we don't do anything, they will attack us, and are we just going to sit by and not defend ourselves and just...
Yeah, man, I don't know. I'd love to see some comments on this topic. Just deep within my core, I just can't get down with the bombing. You know what I mean? Bombing other nations doesn't solve problems. But then what do you do? What do you do? What should I do?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I hate to close up the video with I don't know, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's pretty much where we're at right now. I mean, I'm on Facebook with a bunch of politicos and a lot of people with a bunch of different opinions, and I look at other YouTube videos. I mean, I see a lot of people who are pretty sure about themselves, but I don't know, is it just weird that we're the only, like, we're a very minority that we're saying, like, for the love of God, we want to know what the answer is, but we just don't know. It's not as simple as anyone else is trying to paint it. It really is damned if we do, damned if we don't, and...
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people on different sides of the political spectrum, they're either like, yes, bomb them back into the Stone Age, or even people in our political category are just like, no, don't get involved, stay out, no matter what. And it seems to be, you know, one or the other. And it's like you said, I think we're weirdos, man.
Yeah, we are.
Like, we're straight up like, we're damned either way. So, I don't know. Like I said, I'd love to see some comments. I would love to hear other people's opinions on it. Either way, I mean, if you're one of those bombed to the Stone Age, or if you're one of the peaceful people who thinks we should just get out, I'd love to hear from you. But I'm at a loss. I really am. It's a terrible situation. It's a horrific situation. People are dying. I don't know what to do. Not vote for Trump.
Oh my god, that should be our next episode.
We could do that. Trump. Trump!
Yeah, that's something you guys gotta look forward to.
Or maybe we should vote for Trump. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll do that next time, don't worry. Yeah.
We'll make that a video, why not? Just for shiggles.
Yeah, but for now, yeah. We don't know, man. Or women. Yeah, we don't know. Weird.
IDK. So, alright.
Yeah. Well, thank you for watching us rant through to the conclusion that we don't know. And we hope to see you next time. Thank you for watching Nobodies.
Thank you.